What is up, guys? It's Avon Doom coming at you from Brooklyn, New York. Today, like last time, I'm gonna have a couple of series of just really good comic books that you should read. Some recommendations. I've mentioned before, I am not a master of comic book knowledge, so I will let my General Sergeant of the Mutant Army introduce himself. And he's going to be the one that's basically going to take charge of all the explanations in this video. So, introduce yourself.
I'm Billy Bombs, and welcome to Metal Mutant Maniacs from Queens. We are at my new spot. We call it the Bombs Mahal in Brooklyn. We set up a new set. We make everything look great. Abe's a little drunk. A little bit because he forgot what show we were doing.
Yeah.
Completely. But this one we're doing more of Vertigo image type books, indie books. The only thing is though, one of them is owned by DC, but I love it so much it's got to be on this episode because it's a Vertigo book, but really start off an image. Blah blah blah. It's that good. So let's start off with the newest book coming out nowadays, which I'm very happy about because I missed it. Hellboy. But this one's Hellboy the BPRD in 1952, written by Mike Mignola. I love Mike Mignola. He's awesome. I have a quick short story about him. I met him when I was 13 years old, and nobody knew who he was. Nobody knew anything about him. I was in St. Mark's Comics in the Village, and he was doing a signing. The store was a desert. He was by himself. I bought a comic book just for him to sign because I felt bad. And then I was hooked for life from Hellboy. He is one of the greatest writers, artists, everything about him. Abe's a huge fan of this series.
Hell yeah.
I didn't like BPRD, the individual stories too much, but I like John Arcudi. Hopefully I pronounced his name right. Sorry about that. He's a great writer, and a lot of the artwork is done. I might be mistaking him with somebody else, but like if he's the artist or the writer. But it's a good run, but it's not everything. I'm a Mignola guy, but. Well, whatever. Here's the thing. I felt bad for Mike Mignola, and then about 5 years ago or 4 years ago, I saw him at New York Comic Con. The line was out the block and through the door all the way to New Jersey almost from the west side of Manhattan.
That's amazing. That's pretty amazing.
And I really, if I didn't have like such a short attention span, I would have stayed on that line for 2 hours just to tell him the story of St. Mark's Comics and how bad I felt for him then. And now I'm very proud of him to be like. It's not my place to be proud of him as it is I'm a fan and just happy to see him be, like, successful like that. And this is a great run telling the story after World War II when they found Hellboy and how he's growing up in his first missions.
Well, out of curiosity, what was that book that you bought? What book was it?
It was like one of when I was 13, so it wasn't Seed of Destruction. It might have been Wake the Devil. I don't remember the single issues because I sold my entire comic book collection to pay off college. I had a lot of books, and I had an addiction. I realized that's... People have addictions to different things. Mine's is comic books.
Yeah.
But here's my next favorite addiction. The Goon. Abe's a big fan because he's been copying this guy's look for years.
Yeah, all the time. Uh-huh.
Ugly as sin and wearing that stupid hat as well when you're not around.
Hell yeah.
I'll send you photos.
Old man hats.
I forget what this book's about. It's that stupid. I know there's a voodoo king that he faces off against. It's very much a story of the Goon and his friend who just want to drink and party. And just... have a normal life, and just there's zombies everywhere, and they fight them. That is literally the storyline. But also, if you ever get a chance to, I'm bullshitting a little bit. I'm doing all the talking.
Yeah.
It's very stupid. But there's also, like, some very heartbreaking stories, like Chinatown. And if you ever get a chance to read that, and you feel like an ugly motherfucker, you feel less ugly and relate to this character and realize how good Eric Powell's book is. Anything you want to say before we hop on to the next one?
I'm just hoping for a movie. That's it.
Oh, yeah. Was it Ron Perlman and the guy from American Splendor? I'm having a problem. One of the greatest actors of all time, and I forgot his name. It was playing his...
Paul Giamatti?
Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti. That guy. Mm-hmm. Everybody loves Paul Giamatti. If he was the Sorcerer Supreme in Doctor Strange, I would fall over backwards and how good it's going to be. But Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be just as good.
Oh, I hope that's good.
Maybe better because he looks just like him.
Yeah.
But on to the next book where I can talk shit for a while. Astro City by Kurt Busiek, originally on Image, now owned by DC. The best part about this, every single issue is a self-contained story with like an overline plot. My favorite is the Silver Soldier. Oh no, I'm sorry, Silver Agent, and he's Captain America in their storyline. I don't want to ruin it, but if you can, there's like the 12 volume in the sets coming out. This has been around since the 90s, and you know it's really good.
It's not old. I didn't realize that.
Every cover is painted by Alex Ross. Yeah, every single one. The trade paperbacks all come with cover gallery of all his covers. Let me find a really good one. You know, you'll see all your favorite characters redone by Kurt Busiek, like in his imagination. But he writes, his writing is so good that he puts in one issue, like a whole story, like that a guy named Brian Michael Bendis has been stealing from for years. Siege is a single issue. Secret Invasion is a single issue, done in this one where aliens pose as superheroes. That was one issue of Astro City. Brian Michael Bendis and the writers at Marvel made it like a 1-year event and still continued on with the Skrulls invading Earth and pretending to be superheroes. The next one. For all you 90s guys, this one is perfect. Oh, yeah, man. Because if you're some thug from the hood, you read this. Yeah. If you were a nerd that wanted something different with more violence, this is for you. Oh, yeah. And now, in a new trade paperback version, Spawn, the original series, called Origins. This is volume 1, the first 6 issues.
It's great.
This is awesome because it reminds you of everything when you were 12. I'm 31, Abe is 30, so that was a while ago. But this was the stuff that we always wanted to get. And the fact that it's finally being collected, I think there's 20 volumes of this, and it's 6 issues each.
That's awesome.
I'm really looking forward to collecting the first 9 because I love the first 50 issues or so. Neil Gaiman wrote an issue, Alan Moore wrote an issue, and Todd McFarlane's vision of this superhero, of not wanting to be a hero, but he just is in like their definition, and he does capital punishment that we only had the Punisher in Marvel do, is amazing. And Ovi's, the artwork is over the top.
Oh, it's amazing. So 90s. So fucking 90s.
It's so kick-ass. Nice segue. This is the first book I ever read that I love John Romita Jr. and I love Mark Millar. I like the movie better. Sorry. It's really good to have. The movie has more heart than this book has. It's too much violence for the sake of violence.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no storyline. He's a loser at the beginning. He's a loser at the end. He gives you no hope. Volume 2 is horrendous.
I see what you mean.
Volume 3, I don't want to read after Volume 2. I'm disgusted. I don't get disgusted. I watch horror movies. I watch Cannibalistic Holocaust. I watch some horrible stuff. I have a lot of crap on my wall in dedication to crap I like. That's crap that I can't take. That's crap. All right. But now we're going to come to the creme de la resistance of comic books that nobody knows. And this is a book about New York City in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Jabroni Baby over here. No, Shiki Baby. How do you say it? You always crack me up with it. Abe saw this and lit up like a tree.
Oh, yeah.
Like a Christmas tree. Shiki Baby. Gotta bring it higher so you can only see the head.
Unfortunately, he's like me.
This is one of the best graphic novels I never knew existed until I really got into political comics and the history of New York City. This one is called War in the Neighborhood from a writer and artist named Seth Bachman. He was famous for a series that hopefully people are reading called World War III Illustrated. He's one of the original founders, I think, from 1979 till now. Okay. This book is his chronological, and his story. I say chronological because at the time is the late 1980s, and there's a lot of stuff in here that people don't believe is true. You see stuff like in Missouri with the police of St. Louis with tanks. There's photos in here in this comic book of the back of the New York City Police Department having tanks. He was a squatter in a building that was going to be burned down or left alone or done nothing with, and they were trying to kick people out to make condos and everything else. And they were also kicking out all the homeless in Tompkins Square Park. This one is also known as the Tompkins Square Park riots. Yeah. But this is a pretty good history of a build-up to the riots and everything that happened. If you ever get your chance to get your hands on this one, find it, grab it. I've had 2 copies. Only reason I bought a second one is because somebody damaged my first one, and I gave it to a friend who desperately wanted it, and I found the second one. Let me find you that photo of the tanks, just so you know that New York City ain't all right.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say, for a while, Tompkins Square Park was pretty tame. It got cleaned up for a while, for a couple of years, since all the influx of hipsters that came over here. A lot of foreigners that came over here. I'm not against foreigners, but
I'm a foreigner, that's why.
yeah, obviously. But like the whole gentrification thing. But now it's back to it's pretty grimy. I don't want to hang out in Tompkins Square Park. It got pretty bad again. It's gotten pretty bad again.
Well, here's the thing about this story. Sefta Bachman does acknowledge that he is somebody who has a home somewhere else, and he was squatting with these people because he chose to be a squatter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really amazing to see somebody write about the 80s and tell about themselves as not being a hero or not putting themselves in good light. Like a lot of writers I follow who's always like, I'm always number one.
Yeah.
I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. Like, I didn't steal. I never did this. And then you find out later on that they were a piece of shit. This dude was like, I knew I didn't fit in, but I want to be part of this movement.
He was honest.
He was very honest. I'm trying to find him in the new book I got called Kill City. It's a photograph book about 1990s squatters, the early 90s. There's a lot of good documentaries out there that you'll never see because the people who have some rights to it won't put it out. But we'll try and review it and put it on here.
Yeah,
so on to the next comic.
Real quick though, I want to know what's World War III. I want you to explain what that is.
Oh, World War III Illustrated.
Yes.
That's a full name, which threw me off a bit. I've applied to work there as a writer, and they're so far beyond sometimes that they called me 2 years later. They sent me a Facebook message back 2 years later. It happens. But here's the thing. It's a political comic from 1979. The early 80s or 90s was all about... early 80s to the mid-90s was all about New York City, the change of political structure, Giuliani coming into power and becoming a police state. A lot of early books are about a guy named Donald Trump trying to ruin the northern parts of Manhattan, upper Manhattan, and about a guy who was a mayor at the time named Ed Koch, who we consider a hero in New York, but he's not, on there as a piece of crap who destroyed the South Bronx and let it burn. So if you ever get a chance to get any of the trade paperbacks that have come out, the one new one just came out 2014 called World War III Illustrated, where it has a cartoonist on the cover with a gas mask. Well, we'll do just a review on that stuff. I love that stuff. I try to collect every single issue, but they're so difficult, so the trades help out a lot.
Yeah.
All right, next one. This is one of my favorites. The Man. Mr. I Am the Law, Judge Dredd. This is Volume 1. Mm-hmm. This is the Judge Dredd Complete Case Files, Volume 1, 1977, complete year. This is a great book. I have all of this. This is the British edition. I didn't know they were going to come out with American edition. They're up to number 25 in the British ones. I have all 25. America's only up to number 10. So I'm glad to be ahead. I love all these stories.
Wait, you have the 25?
All 25. We'll go over that in another episode. Don't worry about that. Because we run out of ideas. But this one is by John Wagner and one of the earliest creators, Carlos Esquerda. I always mess up his name. But he did Identity Crisis later on from DC, which I'm a huge fan of, and I'm sure a lot of you are out there are. Yeah, sorry about that, buddy. These are all the stories in their complete order, chronological order. They're amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
If you're a big Judge Dredd fan, like I am, you go through all of them. And you get to read all of them, the early stories, and you see the evolution of Judge Dredd as being this like iron-fisted character to later on like wanting democracy and wanting a change in the system. But
that's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. But that's development of Judge Dredd. If you can get this one, get the
man.
American one. If you're not impatient like I am, and I had to find all, they were up to number 13 by the time I started. So I got all 13, and then I waited every 6 months. Another one came out. They're trying to catch up. I'm up to 25 years after 1977. I'm in the 90s. You know, I'm the same time I'm getting into punk rock, and 97 is the same time that happens.
Yeah.
And thinking of punk rock, which I love to say, is the most punk rock comic book that ever came out. This is Trashed by, I always mess this up, it's Durf Backdurf, who is a Cleveland, Ohio punk rocker. Yeah. Who this original book is, this is a short one, is about his time as a municipal waste garbage man in a township off of Cleveland or in Cleveland itself. The original is awesome. You can get your hands on this, grab it. But there's a reprint that just came out that I'm very happy about. But then I found out it's not a reprint. This is the original story about him. This one is more of stories he's collected through the years of talking to other garbage men in Cleveland. Oh. And he made it into a webisode series or a webcomic series. I'm sorry. Very good. if you're not big on his garbage stories or his punk rock trailer park stories, he does have one book that everybody wants to read. And this one is awesome. My Friend Dahmer.
Oh.
About when he went to high school with Jeffrey Dahmer. And this is not like some like Cannibal Holocaust trying to gross you out. It's just a story of what he knew about him from meeting him during this time before he started killing people and killing men and being a maniac. And if you get a chance to read it, it's really like it really threw me off at like how good it is without being over the top or without having to like shock me. It was kind of creepier, like like there's sad parts to every story. Like it's been a little while since I read this. Like it came out last year. I read a lot of comics, so my brain gets Swiss cheese sometimes in the storyline. If you get a chance to pick this one, and Back Durf, please do more books. I will buy them all. All right, that's it for us on, I guess you would say, indie books. I would like to bring up a lot of like other writers that were early, the late '70s, early '70s writers like Spain Rodriguez and Robert Crumb or R. Crumb, whatever you guys want to refer to him when you look up stuff. But they're not as fun as all the '90s stuff. And I have a big problem with people sticking to the past more than how much time has passed between that and then. Like, I look for all Spain Rodriguez's stuff, and he doesn't have that much work. But Back Durf breaks his ass and puts out as much stuff as he can. Bill Fingerman from Minimum Wage has been putting out a lot of stuff. I should have really had that on here, but like I forgot. But that one is one of those ones I'll show off when we show off my comic book collection, which is all trades. That's it for all this indie books. Please subscribe to the channel. Check us out. We're Metal Mutant Maniacs from Queens. I'm Billy Bombs.
I'm Avon Doomy.
And we'll see you next time, and hopefully able to do more talking than I do.
Yeah, yes, hopefully.